The blistering heat hit my skin before my mind could even process the betrayal. Standing in front of 60 stunned guests, my own mother looked at me with pure rage after throwing a scalding mug of coffee directly into my face. I stood there dripping in the room, listening to her blame me for her violent outburst, completely unaware that my fiancé was about to walk through the door and expose the massive secret I carried for years. My name is Valerie, and at 34, I am a senior founding partner at a major venture capital firm in the business district of Chicago. I worked incredibly hard to escape the shadow of my childhood home, where my mother Eleanor always treated me like an afterthought, while treating my younger sister Cassidy like royalty. I funded my own education through grueling graveyard shifts at a local restaurant, while Cassidy received a fully funded university experience. My partner Julian is an emergency room physician who understands crisis better than anyone I know. He was the only person who knew about the massive financial rescue operation I had been running for my family in secret. 3 years ago, my father Arthur called me in tears because their house was facing immediate foreclosure due to massive debts they accumulated to fund the luxurious lifestyle of my sister, to save my parents from humiliation. I secretly established a hidden family trust through my corporate legal team. I quietly paid off their past due mortgage balances and continued covering their high monthly housing payments for nearly 3 years, totaling over $100,000. I even covertly wiped out $31,000 of student loans belonging to Cassidy, letting her believe it was a government forgiveness program. I kept these major actions completely anonymous because I wanted no praise, but everything collided at the engagement party of my sister. I arrived early at the house, carrying a generous gift for Cassidy and her new fiancé, Garrett. My mother immediately pulled me away from the guests and cornered me inside the private study of my father, demanding that I contribute $50,000 to fund the dream wedding of my sister. When I calmly explained that I had my own wedding budget to manage and would not write a massive check, the face of my mother twisted with anger. She walked out of the study and stepped directly into the crowded living room during a quiet moment in the party. She announced loudly to all 60 guests that her selfish, wealthy daughter was refusing to help the family. The sudden public humiliation was suffocating as every pair of eyes turned toward me in judgment. Before I could even request a private conversation, my mother reached for the hot beverage service on the side table. She grabbed a filled ceramic cup and hurled the hot liquid directly at my head, causing a sharp, painful burn across my left cheek while the entire room gasped in absolute horror. While I sat trembling in a chair, pressing napkins to my scorched skin, my mother desperately tried to control the narrative by claiming it was an accident. My sister lamented about her special afternoon being ruined rather than checking on my injury, while her fiancé Garrett watched with a calculated expression. My father remained completely frozen in the background, unable to protect me just as he always had. The front door opened and Julian walked into the chaotic scene, instantly noticing the red burn on my face and the dark stains soaking my clothing. He moved past the crowd with the focused urgency of a medical doctor and evaluated my injuries before turning his gaze toward my mother. Eleanor smiled nervously and dismissed the situation as a minor family disagreement that simply got a bit loud. Julian refused to let her manipulate the room and told her to stop speaking in a voice that commanded absolute silence. He turned to the entire gathering of relatives and friends, announcing that he was finished protecting a family that treated me so terribly. He revealed that for 37 months, I had been secretly paying the mortgage of my parents to prevent the bank from seizing their home. The room fell into a stunned silence as Julian read out the exact bank account details and the massive financial figures from memory. My mother grew incredibly pale as the guests realized the woman they deemed selfish had actually been keeping the family afloat. Julian then turned to Cassidy and informed her that my secret financial intervention was the reason her student loans vanished. The social standing of my mother shattered instantly in front of the neighbors and church members she desperately tried to impress. Garrett suddenly looked at me with newfound respect, realizing my actual status as a powerful corporate partner. Overwhelmed by the sudden exposure of her lies, the knees of my mother buckled and she collapsed heavily onto the floor, causing a massive wave of panic. Despite the terrible actions of my mother, Julian immediately switched into doctor mode to provide emergency care until the ambulance arrived. He monitored her vital signs with complete professional detachment, while the remaining guests began whispering and exiting the house in embarrassment. I watched the paramedics wheel her away, realizing that the fragile illusion of our family was permanently broken. As Julian and I prepared to leave the house, my emotional father grabbed my arm with trembling hands. He looked completely broken and confessed that there was another dark secret my mother had hidden from me for 15 years. He revealed that when my grandmother passed away during my college years, she left an estate worth $340,000 to be split equally between us. My father admitted that my mother had forged my signature on legal documents, claiming I was estranged and did not want the inheritance. She took my full portion of $170,000 to pay for the home renovations and the expensive education of Cassidy. Hearing this final betrayal explained why I had to struggle through poverty while my money funded their comfort. I secured the original forged documents from the office filing cabinet of my father and contacted my corporate attorney the following morning. We initiated a formal civil lawsuit against my mother to recover the stolen funds, plus the accumulated interest over the years. Realizing the overwhelming evidence against her, the legal counsel of my mother advised her to settle the case out of court. The final legal settlement amounted to nearly $200,000, which I used to permanently terminate the mortgage payments for my parents. I placed a significant portion into a secure account for Cassidy to give her a clean start, choosing to remain a generous person on my own terms. My sister called me in tears, expressing genuine remorse after finally learning the truth. Julian and I celebrated a beautiful wedding, surrounded only by the people who truly valued me for who I am. My mother was completely excluded from our new life, leaving her to face the consequences of her greed. I learned that you cannot change toxic family members, but you can build your own boundary walls to protect your peace. If you enjoyed this journey, please subscribe for more stories.